Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us once again here at the OR News broadcast for our daily English news edition. As usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of today's top news stories in a language that you can understand. The U.S. Ambassador Donald Lu was harsher than ever before in his speech today on the justice reform. In his previous appearances for the media, the ambassador did not mention any names, instead generalizing that certain officials, prosecutors, and judges fear the reform. This time he was not so guarded, giving names like Arben Frroku, Emiliano Shullazi, and so-called Mjacaj. Ambassador Lu said, "Criminals fear the justice reform. People like Arben Frroku, who murdered a police chief but was allowed to leave the country in a mysterious way while he was waiting for the court's ruling. People like Emiliano Shullazi, who has been publicly accused of drug trafficking and murder but has not been sent before justice. And people like so-called Mjacaj, who was found guilty of the murder of a 13-year-old boy, was allowed to go free in a suspicious way and later killed the Czech couple in Škoda. These are the people who should fear a functional justice system," said the U.S. ambassador. Mr. Lu called the judges not to be afraid of their shameless bosses who give them orders. According to the ambassador, this turns Albania back to its communist past and not toward its democratic future. Ambassador Lu emphasized the four goals of the justice reform. First, addressing corruption and political influence. Second, stopping the protection of corrupt judges and prosecutors by their peers. 3, avoiding political control of the system. And 4, a justice system that meets international standards. In a statement to the media today, the Minister of Justice, Uli Manjani, gave warning that there will be no more tolerance for delays in court proceedings. According to Mr. Manjani, the postponement of judicial deadlines produces corruption. He announced that there will be frequent anti-corruption initiatives. He said, "We are interested in a deep and sustainable justice reform that will provide legal service to the citizens. We have taken several measures that will serve the citizens, and I remain committed to dealing with the issue of trial deadlines and enabling swift justice. From this point of view, the anti-corruption initiatives will be frequent," declared the minister. Brussels has made it clear that the justice reform is vital for Albania's accession in the progress report and in various meetings with high officials. The new Minister of Justice claims that the EU recommendations will be the guidance for his work. The Prime Minister has reacted harshly to the Customs Administration after a shortage of 3.5 billion lek in the first 9 months of this year. A meeting that was scheduled today to analyze the work of Customs lasted only a few minutes, even though the administration was prepared to make a lengthy presentation of figures and graphs. The Prime Minister spoke up almost at once, saying that the Customs Directorate is at the lowest of performance. He addressed the head of the Customs and warned her to take action immediately, implying that otherwise there would be a dismissal of several executives in the near future. Her arguments that the failure of the Directory is caused by decrease of oil and mineral prices in the international markets did not draw any sympathy from the Prime Minister. Mr. Rama has recently been receiving pressure from all sides concerning the shortage of income and has had to face the growing concerns of businesses that the shortage does not come from informality but from smuggling at the customs points. The Minister of Economy, Arben Mjacaj, was invited to be a guest yesterday night on Tonight Il Vitare. There he spoke about the progress of the Albanian economy, the investments, the operation, and the taxes. The minister announced that the 2016 budget has been adopted by the government and sent to the parliament for discussion. He also said that the removal of taxes from lower-income small businesses will carry a cost of 2.2 billion lek to the government. When asked how the government will cover these expenses, the minister replied with the following indicators, primarily from the big business sector. He said that the Albanian economy has produced 167,000 new jobs since 2013, and that the public debt will be reduced by next year. Regarding investments, the minister said that negotiations are being held for the Arbri Road, and that everything depends upon the cost of that project. For the national road, he indicated that $150 million are still needed in order to build a road that meets the international standards. Finally, regarding the 2016 package, Minister Mjacaj said that the tax will be increased on all luxury vehicles. The Democratic chairman Basha met today with the U.S. ambassador to Albania, Donald Liu. Afterward, Mr. Basha declared that there will be a massive action by the populace if the majority does not reflect on the issue of decriminalization and the worsening economic indicators. After a 60-minute meeting with the U.S. diplomat, the Democratic chairman said that the country is going through a grave economic and social situation because of bad governance. And in these conditions, early elections are the democratic alternative. Basha said, there should be early elections and a technical government to be temporarily put in place before the early elections. This is one of the options that the Democratic Party offers, said Mr. Basha. He also called the government to reflect on the issue of decriminalization and to reflect on the economy. According to him, the Democratic Party has the support of the internationals in these concerns. He went on, I am making the last call for them to immediately reflect on the decriminalization law, to immediately reflect on the bad economic situation as the result of corruption and theft. Otherwise, they will face a massive popular action by the Democratic Party. Mr. Basha gave his assurance that all ministers accused of corruption will be brought to justice. The Prime Minister and several EU reps were in Novosela today, presenting the relief program for the residents affected by the floods in the beginning of the year. 9 months after the floods, Prime Minister Rama has announced that there will be investments in infrastructure and financial support for farmers who lost their produce. He announced that a radical reform is coming next year, so that more funding will be given to the local governments to face situations like these. The Law Commission was familiarized today with the Democrats' legal initiative for an international investigation of the Chez issue. During the discussion of the bill, the Democratic MP Edward Halimi stated that only a foreign prosecutor can investigate an issue in which high state leaders are involved. Halimi said that investigations will be made within the procedures of the criminal code and that the foreign entity will only have power to investigate. Only the local authorities will have power to take administrative measures. The majority members that were present did not express an attitude on the bill, but they did make the claim that the Democrats' initiative is against the Constitution. After being familiarized with the draft, the Socialist MPs requested more time to prepare for the discussion in principle and to learn the opinion of the internationals and the general prosecutor. The Democrats responded that postponing the bill will only aggravate the situation and accused the Socialist MPs of hampering the investigation. Thanks once again for choosing Aura News as your source for updates in English. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks and good night.